Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for Madam Web. It's a movie starring Dakota Johnson, who I really only remember from 50 Shades of Grey and 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Free or whatever. Like, not great movies, so I don't have, like, the highest of opinion of Dakota Johnson, but I looked at her IMDb, and she's been in a few other movies that I've seen. I guess I just didn't, like, key in on her, so she's not the worst actor ever. There's also Sydney Sweeney in this, which apparently has been getting a lot of buzz because it's Sydney Sweeney, who I really only know from Euphoria, so cool, I guess. She's in it. And then other people, too. Cool. So, this movie could have been a good movie. It's not for a few reasons that I'll get into, but I just want to start off by saying that I got so bored with this movie that I actually fell asleep for a little bit in the theaters. That's how bored and how much I did not care about what was going on in this movie. Because it was just, yeah, that's how bored I was. I fell asleep for a little bit. So, things that are dumb. The actions that Dakota Johnson's character takes make no sense. So, she escapes to the woods with them in a taxi cab in like the early 2000s, thereabouts. And so she takes them to the woods and she's like, hey, stay here. I'm going to go do something real quick and be back in like 3 hours. First of all, I highly doubt that you'd be able to get anywhere with that much woods and then get back to like downtown New York and then back to them in under 3 hours. So fucking good luck. But also, you just went back to go look at a journal and then you went back to them. Like her side trip made no sense. I feel like it was supposed to be some other time or something else was supposed to happen, but they cut it and then they rearranged it to add in the scene of her telling them that she was going to leave them and come back. Like, I don't know what happened there, but it was stupid and a pointless side trip and it was dumb. Also, it's not believable at all that she would know, or that somebody would be like, oh, those cell phones are tracked. So she yeets it, some kid's cell phone, because again, early 2000s. But not that the cab was probably low-jacked. Like, you don't think the New York cares about its cabs? Where are they going? Whatever. Also, the fact that NYPD gets its ass handed to them by some mysteriously, like, dark, masked figure in spandex or whatever, and they're like, we're looking for this woman who helped usher the three people out of the way. Yep, that's what we're doing. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. It's stupid. Things that are also stupid is, like, there's a tech chick who's, like, operating the spyware cameras everywhere thing, and she's been working with this dude for fucking ever, and she has the, like, sketches of what they're supposed to look like, and knows that she has to de-age them, and then, oh, wow, I didn't realize we'd be hunting teenagers. I'm a little uncomfortable. Like, bitch, you knew exactly what the fuck you were doing. Stop trying to be like, oh, I'm just an innocent here, because I can't be a bad person. I'm just a techie girl. Fuck you. You've been working for him. You knew exactly what you were getting into. Don't try and make us sympathize with her. Fuck off. What I will say is that one of the good things that they did really, 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 really well in this movie was the deja vu scenes. So a lot of times in movies, they do a deja vu scene that I'm like, how are you this stupid? How are you this thick? It's fucking deja vu. You're reliving the same exact moment. How is this new information for you? Like, you should immediately, like, stop it. Like, if it's 5 seconds in, you're like, I've lived this before. Let me adjust things. That's how I feel like in so many deja vu type moments in movies. But in this one, the way in which they shot it and filmed it and framed it and everything else, like, what they did for the deja vu scenes really, really, really worked. And I thought that it was very well done and made me believe that somebody in her situation experiencing that in the way that they showed her experiencing it, I could believe that she would act in that way, as opposed to immediately being like, I'm going to change this whole future now, type of thing. So that was very well done. And, like, this could have been a good horror movie. Because you have this dude who's this unstoppable force who just keeps coming, just keeps figuring out where they are, and keeps on attacking. And you have Dakota Johnson who has like a little bit of that Nicolas Cage in the movie Next. Way better movie, excellent movie. You should watch that movie. Anyway, so where she can see the future a few minutes ahead, like exactly how far it kind of seems to vary a bit, but she can see ahead and be like, oh, I need to change how I'm doing that to maybe save this life or save this other thing. So that would make it a very interesting concept to say, like, hey, you have this person who can see a little bit in the future, and then this unstoppable force who's able to keep on fighting them. That would be interesting. But they tried to smash it into the Spider-Verse, like the Sony Cinematic Spider-Verse thing. So I've watched the 1994 Spider-Man TV show where they had Madam Web, like where there was eventually Avengers and the X-Men and all that jazz and the crossovers and Iron Man and blah, blah, blah. Like, I've seen all that stuff. Like, there are good parts of it. Like, I like a lot of that, but you didn't need to try and make things mash up with that. Like, they had this whole thing where it was clear that they were trying to go for the comic book look for Madam Web, or the 94 TV show look for Madam Web, but also try to make her look cool, because apparently that didn't look cool. But what they did was they made it so it didn't match the TV show well enough, but it also wasn't cool. So it wasn't cool, and it didn't match the TV show, so why? Why would you do it like that? Why would you do it dirty like that? Come on, man. Like, you didn't have to integrate the Spider-Man capability, because honestly, like, there was no web swinging, which, you know, makes sense, because in most of the Spider-Verse realm things, the actual, like, web slinging capability is not inherent in the spider-ness of it. It's just like a technology thing that Peter Parker developed, so I can see why this guy wouldn't have developed the web swinging thing. But that just means, like, okay, he can walk on the walls, and, well, more like crawl on the walls, which they made a point about, even though he then later walks on the walls, but the ceiling, but whatever. So, you could have just had some, like, you didn't even have to have the wall crawling capability, because it almost didn't come into play. You could have just had some other type of fairly supernatural creature that's somehow keying in on them. And then you wouldn't have had the technology thing, because I read from the trivia or from news articles that originally they were trying to integrate one of the 3 Spider-Mans, like Tobey or Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland, like one of those into like their time frame, but then they weren't able to get the rights to that, so they switched to a different one. But then they also filmed things so much that the time frame wouldn't make sense for any of them because of just technology that they were showing, so then they had to, like, I imagine that's where the, like, oh, we hacked into the NSA thing came from, for the, like, tech chick being able to tell him where she was at all times. But you could have just had a dude who's able to, like, track them via scent or something. You know, you didn't... How they implemented this was just shoehorning evil Spider-Man type abilities into this guy, and it doesn't make any sense. So, and then also the culmination of this movie relied way too much on plot armor and, like, character timing armor, for fireworks in general, as to, like, oh, hey, this random length of fuse or this thing that can explode at any point, it's gonna explode exactly when we need it to. Now, I could see the argument that, like, oh, well, in the movie next, spoiler towards the end of that, but not exactly to the plot, like, there's this scene where Nicolas Cage is getting fired at, and you see all the times where, like, if he doesn't move this way, then he dies, and if he doesn't move that way, then he dies. So there's just a bunch of scenes of, like, him dead, but as he's advancing, because he's seeing those futures and avoiding them. You could argue that that's what's happening here. But that's not how they implement the future scene the whole rest of the time, and how they do it here, it doesn't make me believe that the rest of the characters would be acting that way, or that she is stopping or making them go in the exact right time for tossing the things that they need to. So, it's not very believable to me. And I'm going to get into some spoilers now. Like, I feel like you could still watch the movie and not have too much spoiled. Like, the general premise is kind of established early on, so I feel like not much of what I said has really been spoiled, but this is really in the spoiler zone. So, spoiler alert. The villain is shown to have strong capabilities. Spider-like capabilities, like Spider-Man-esque capabilities. And he is way too strong to have something as small as the little building S crush him and kill him. Also, he is way too strong to have the fall from, like, what, 4 stories? Maybe? If that? Like, maybe 2 or 3, but, like, 4 stories. And even if it was 15, 20 stories, which it's not, but let's pretend it was, he was established, like, he is shown to be way too fucking strong for a fall to kill him like that, let alone a tiny little S falling on him. Like, I don't believe that he is dead, so why would that be the culmination of, you're like, yay, we defeated him moment? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, and I didn't care about any little side references that they made to Spider-Man, like, oh, that guy's Uncle Ben, and look, there's that kid that's being born, it's probably Peter. Like, I like Spider-Man. I have seen all of the Spider-Man movies. I've seen a variety of Spider-Man TV shows. I haven't read any comic books of anybody anywhere, and I still won't and refuse to, not going to. But I like Spider-Man. I have seen all the Spider-Mans. I really like Spider-Man. I didn't give a shit about any of the Spider-Man references in here. I feel like it's sort of like when Disney films those gay scenes in, like, say, Jungle Cruise, where it, like, establishes that the brother is gay, and they do that just long enough for that scene so that they can cut it when it gets shown in China, so that they can still get it past the Chinese censors. I feel like that is the amount of cutting that would have been required to get rid of all of the Peter Parker and Spider-Man references in this. The little side ones, anyway, to be like, oh, little Easter egg, oh, like, no, you could have just fucking cut all those and it would have been better. Like I said, this would have been better, not Spider-Man movie. And they have like a flashback scene of the 3 chicks that Dakota Johnson's trying to save, and their spider person outfits, and they're like kicking this dude's ass for whatever fucking reason, which we never discover. And they each have like some weird power or technology or spider thing that is not well explained. Like, what is it with having a character with a black and white outfit with unexplained capabilities? I'm talking to you, Ms. Marvel. Not Ms. Marvel. Whatever the fucking... Black Girl Power, Black Magic Girl Power, go! Samuel L. Jackson type of thing. Like, whatever fucking... I don't understand her superpower. In the Marvels, that movie, like, Captain Marvel's is well explained, and, like, light punch, like, solid light punchy chicks' powers are well enough explained. The other person's is not. And just like in this one, there's, like, some magical, like, glowy holding capability thing that comes from one of them that is just, like, I don't know where that's from. I've seen all the live-action Spider-Mans. I've seen a bunch of the TV shows and whatnot. I don't know where that's from. I don't understand that explanation. You're not going to explain it to me. Why are you just confusing the issue more? Whatever. So, this movie could have been good. Like, there are things that are good about it, like some of the pacing, some of the quips, some of the action, but, like, just this could have been a good horror film if you just didn't cram all the spider things into it. One last side note, there ain't no restaurant in the fucking world that would let them dance on the table like that. That doesn't make any fucking sense. That's stupid. Like, just, no. And you're running from things, and you're like, I'm suddenly horny and want to dance with these boys. Like, no, you don't. No, that's not a thing. That's not what happened. Fuck off. So, yeah. In shocking news to no one, don't bother with this movie. That's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Bye.